I'm
What's
ready.
up, everybody, and welcome back to SUPERSTAT, the podcast where we spotlight laboratory medicine, the people behind the results, and the science that quietly keeps healthcare moving.
Yes, and today is a special episode, not just because we're launching something new, but because we're talking about the future of our profession.
The future. Wow. That's right. The future of laboratory medicine. It doesn't start in the lab. So, as many of you are aware, well known by the age of 6, kids begin to plan their futures. We all seen those in the magnet schools where you're literally planning out your entire life in a minute. But yeah, career exposure in elementary schools can foster that curiosity, kind of promote that discovery beyond just that tight-knit community, and reduce those stereotypes that children may feel limited, that they feel like they can't be something, and then they suddenly can see, wow, that's an option.
Yeah, and also children who have broad experience in domain-specific knowledge like science, STEM, math can acquire complex skills more rapidly than their peers.
That sounds awesome. So, should we tell them? Maybe a countdown? Drum roll, please.
10. Oh, you skipped the countdown. 5, 4, 3.
Children's book series.
Yes, the Little Lab Learners, ABCs of Laboratory Medicine, and pre-sales are beginning on January 1st. So starting out 2026, we're right out of the gate, very hot. You can order your pre-sale book at labcares.org/Little Lab Learners.
Yeah, so make sure to check out our social links, sneak peeks, and you've seen them. The series is designed to introduce children to laboratory medicine in a way that's colorful, curious, and joyful. And it's starting with the ABC concept. So,
yeah, and it's written and illustrated by laboratory medicine professionals. Our very own Stat Stephanie taking the lead. Her and I collabed on this. It's awesome.
Yeah, and this was really a labor of love. This was really one of those things, and I encourage other people to have those connections with your lab community because literally, this was something that Mel and I were talking about on a drive to Canada. And if you haven't heard about that drive to Canada, go back to our previous episode about Canada.
There's a lot that happened in Canada.
There's a lot that happened in Canada.
So much.
But it really was a labor of love. I think it was something that we did that we really were passionate about as mothers, as professionals, as people who are very interested in making sure that STEM has a relevant part in the education process for early learners. And so, yes, we want to make sure that we also give credit to Jay Artis, who is our hematology guru with a passion and a talent for modern art because he did a great job on that artwork.
All the illustrations, they are amazing.
Just amazing. So This book has some amazing art. So my lovely DCLS has.
I'll try to show. It's hard to show.
Dr. Nelson has our book. So yeah, if you're looking at our socials, you're going to see some of the amazing artwork that are there. And it's going from things. Our little series of our initial book is going from like A for Antibody. So they're doing some fun things. And Z, one of my personal favorites, Zone of Inhibition. Got to learn about those antibiotics early. Don't overuse them, guys. So it's a delightful adventure for our little scientists. So buy one for your child, share with your friends, or you can actually make it a gift. Inspire a future young scientist today.
Yeah, and I think like Steph said, it's important that our listeners understand that while it's a cute, fun book, and it was a like passion project for us, it's very intentional. We talk a lot in healthcare about pipelines and workforce shortages and this idea of like we need to recruit. But the truth that we don't say enough is like you don't recruit into a field that people don't know exists.
So true. And many of us in laboratory medicine, and many people have heard me say this before, have found this profession by accident. It's a profession that we've grown very dedicated to, and it's very near and dear to our hearts. But we discovered it late, often after college, and sometimes after already starting another career. And while that speaks to the resilience of this field, it also highlights a major gap in our advocacy and our visibility.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. If I can, my personal journey, I accidentally found the profession, and it turned out to be a lifelong passion. So if we can get kids learning quickly. So, I mean, kids do learn about being doctors, nurses. If you ask a little kid about, you even look at the Paw Patrol group.
Yeah.
It's firefighters, doctors, it's all sorts of people, astronauts, but it's almost never medical laboratory scientists, microbiologists, partial there, transfusion specialists, pathologists, the members of the lab. It's never those team members.
Yeah, we're just often invisible, and even missing from standard STEM education. That's not really talked about. They talk about biology and chemistry, and that's important, but this is an application and a career that uses both of those fields in a way that can make them good money right out of college. And so it's just interesting that the invisibility really limits imagination and career opportunities for people who may find something they love.
Participating in career-related learning, statistics say 82% of children agreed they understood how school subjects like math or English could be usable in real life application and jobs. And so when you think about mentoring kids and people in undergraduate studies right now, you really want to coach them to think about the job they want and then work backwards and get that degree. So among students in economically disadvantaged areas, 78% felt like they knew more about available jobs, and 78% felt more confident in their abilities after participating in career-related training.
Yeah, and I think this highlights that children are natural scientists. You just kind of got to give them that avenue and that way to kind of express it. So they do question, and anyone that has a small child definitely knows that they are doing the 5 whys times 5 if they can. So they observe patterns. They love to sort. They are always categorizing, discovering.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I look at my son, who's a toddler, really, not really a toddler, but he's in early education. And at 4 years old, like he's got he understands what all the construction vehicles are. He knows their names, like in their jobs. And kids have the capacity to learn really complex things really early on when they're introduced to that in a way that's fun for them. And early exposure to lab science can be that. We can build scientific vocabulary. We can encourage curiosity instead of intimidation, because the sciences can be really scary, especially for girls. There's all this data that by middle school, girls interested in science, that rate like falls off ridiculously. And you can normalize concepts in age appropriate ways. We can be playful and creative in science. And that's part of why we loved it, right? The idea of experimenting in that space. And so I just feel that it's a great thing to get started at a young age.
I want to add one thing that just got me thinking, just with language itself, like you're teaching, we have friends that their kids are learning French or Spanish at a young age. So why can't we take their kids are able to learn so easily. And so why can't we give them the science language at that point if they're that adaptable and able to learn?
Yeah. If you think about, early learners, while your mind is still growing, while you're still very impressionable and things are very malleable in your what you're able to grasp and what you're able to understand. If I think about when I was back in school, if I had learned what an antibody was and some of the other phrases that are highlighted in our children's book, before I learned, common language like this is hard or this is boring or this is difficult, I would have grown up believing that science is something that I could do, and that really matters. And that's what we want to accomplish with this book series.
Yeah, we want to create a series that highlights lab medicine divisions. So, all of it, anatomic to clin chem to micro to transfusion, what we do and why it matters and how discoveries happen behind the scenes. There's some really cool lab medicine stories and some really amazing lab medicine professionals who've changed the world. But beyond books, it's a larger initiative, right? We want to launch focused educational content as SUPERSTAT that frames laboratory medicine as a pathway for exploration and discovery across grade levels. We talk a lot about that. So if you don't know much about us, like now you know what we talk about when we're on long drives or just in general.
Yeah, exactly. You touched on a real big point. We want to reach learners of all ages, early readers, elementary school, middle school, high school. It's about building that awareness for that longing for more education. To kind of, it's just touching kids and students even before we reach that typical recruitment of print the flyer out, show up at the career fair or the college fair, but actually where they start to develop dreams and what they want to be, like that firefighter or the police officer. They want them to be the little scientist.
Yeah, we want kids to go to their career day or their kindergarten graduation knowing that, just like Erin said, when you want to be a teacher or a doctor or a firefighter, that this is in your vocabulary as something you also want to become. And we also want to empower those who are ambassadors for our career, people who are already trying to increase the visibility of laboratory medicine, to have a tool that is age appropriate when they enter environments like schools, or talking to school counselors who are unfamiliar with our profession, that this could be a resource for them.
Yeah, no, exactly. This matters for the next generation. So we have some real challenges in recruitment, and solving them isn't just this real easy thing, but we have to start somewhere. It's not just let's throw more money at it, because that sometimes works for a little bit, but not in the long run. But it starts with that sense of belonging.
Yeah, and I remember so vividly receiving my first microscope from my parents, which is actually still in my office today. It sits on the top, right next to my degrees. This little red Tasco microscope.
And the same one.
I did. I think
from KB Toys. It was a little.
yeah, and it was it came with slides. I could make my own slides, which were terrible. Oh my gosh! But it's a reminder of how far I've come. Right. So I've moved on from doing slides in the swamp water ditch, right, to, where I am today. And I think when kids see themselves in science early, they stay engaged. They can see themselves where they might not have considered before. I mean, I felt when I got that microscope, I felt like my parents thought I could really be a scientist, it changed my perception of what was accessible to me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I was proud of mine. Yeah, like the little containers where you could put the stuff on the slides, and it was.
Yeah, I loved it. I brought mine to school. I was such a dork. I wanted people to see it,
The manifestation of what has happened and what became.
I know, right, exactly.
So at its core, this is a long-term recruitment and about a long-term recruitment and investing in our future as a profession. This book is for everyone. So we want parents and caregivers to grab it, educators and librarians, healthcare professionals, child life program specialists, anyone who wants to make science accessible.
Yep. So buy one for your child. I know we just finished the holidays, but birthdays are still coming up, and just every day going back to school. So share one with your classroom, gift it to a future scientist, help someone see their future.
Yep. Books definitely start conversation, and conversations can start careers. I'm a firm believer in that. That's how it worked for me.
Yes. So your call to action, if you are watching this episode, your call to action is pre-sale, begins on January 1st of 2026. And the book, Melanie's going to hold it up, is The Little Lab Learners, ABCs of Laboratory Medicine. And there are definitely additional books to come in this series. So make sure that you grab yours today.
So follow your little lab learners.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the theme song.
It's not. Okay, we're going to workshop that. It'll be the whole cartoon series. It's happening. I'm envisioning it. So if you've enjoyed our episodes, as I got to manifest things. So make sure you follow SUPERSTAT for sneak peeks, upcoming division-focused releases, and more creative ways to learn about lab education in schools and the community.
Yep. At SUPERSTAT, we believe laboratory medicine deserves to be seen and not just by clinicians, but by kids dreaming about who they'll become. And so we dedicated this book to the little learners we once were and all the ones that are going to come after us.
Yep. And this book is just the beginning. So we're super excited.
Yeah. So until next time, stay creative, embrace your recruitment. And I hear the phone ringing, so I have to go back. Stay SUPERSTAT.
Bye.